In order to change the way we feel, there's something really important we need to consider. Our thoughts feed our feelings. Every feeling you experience needs a steady stream of thoughts to keep it alive. For example, if I'm sitting on a bus and I'm thinking about, I don't know, the time when I was young and I got a bus to Tea in the Park, and I'm thinking about what a good experience that was and all the bands and the atmosphere and the people, then I'm probably going to be quite happy. And that journey will pass with me relaxed and feeling quite good, because I'm thinking thoughts that are happy, relaxed thoughts. But if I'm sitting there thinking, well, that driver was a bit unfriendly and I hate buses, hope this bus doesn't go through anywhere dodgy, trying to picture the route that this bus takes, then I'm going to start feeling uptight and maybe a bit anxious. And that feeling will loop round to set off more thoughts. I might now start imagining what will happen if someone gets on drunk and starts swearing and being aggressive, starting a fight. And that thought fuels my anxiety further. Each thought just further feeding my sense of anxiety and tension, which of course fuels more negative thoughts. And round I go, caught in a vicious circle, because my head is conjuring up and fixating on potential imaginary scenarios, which of course are all imaginary, stressful scenarios. If we could break the loop by catching these thoughts, then we could get ourselves out of whatever vicious circle we're in. In stressful situations, most of us seem to believe that we have mystical powers, that we can magically read other people's minds and predict the future. And because we can see into the minds of others and the future, then we just know that people don't rate us, or just know that things are going to go wrong. It's worth noting that when we think we know what others think of us, we're actually coming up with what we secretly think about ourselves. We take our own harsh judgments and worst fears about ourselves and project those onto other people, then tell ourselves they think I'm an idiot or they think I'm boring. In reality, we have to first think that we're an idiot or boring or ugly or whatever before we can project that onto other people, and then trick ourselves into believing that we can tell what other people think of us. Same with our magical fortune-telling ability. Funny how our future predictions rarely ever occur. Usually the thing that we were utterly dreading turns out to be not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So we ended up generating a whole heap of apprehension or dread or awkwardness, which was nothing to do with the situation and really wasn't necessary to put ourselves through all that. So although our magical mind-reading, fortune-telling abilities are actually bogus, there are some things that we can be certain of. If we find ourselves feeling nervous, then we can be certain it's because we're thinking about something bad happening. If we're getting frustrated with someone or annoyed, it's because we're thinking about being treated unfairly or threatened. Feeling down or bored, we're thinking about things that have maybe gone wrong. If we only have a moment to break that loop so that we can make ourselves less nervous or less annoyed, or to lift our mood, then the most immediate thing that we can do is give ourselves something new to think about instead. Our head loves thinking. In fact, this is a thinking machine. It will happily just generate thought after thought all day, every day. But it can only think about one thing at a time. If we don't give it something to think about, It will say, no problem, I'll find something myself to think about. And it will rummage around in the back of our head, and you can be guaranteed it will find something to think about that will leave us feeling stressed, unsure of ourselves, or on edge. So, distracting ourselves by giving our head something to focus on means the thoughts that are feeding those feelings are now being taken up with something random. So, some good instant distraction techniques are like counting down from 100 in sevens or threes. So 100, 97, 86. Naming all the states in America, Arizona, Alaska, or all the countries in Europe, Austria, Belgium, or going through the alphabet, thinking of an animal that begins with each letter, antelope. Anything that switches our mind away from the negative or anxious or angry thoughts that it's gotten itself caught in stops the loop by stopping the supply, feeding the feelings. But the distraction I prefer is to give my head something to think about that will require it to really concentrate. This technique is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's switching your thoughts to name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. The reason this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique is used by many people is because it requires us to use all of our senses: sight, touch, listening, smell, taste. This means that we've switched our head away from its thoughts and given it something outside our head to focus on. Sometimes you have to get quite imaginative, really concentrate and tune into what's going on around us, especially to get the smell and taste ones.